Hello, you beautiful specimens. The other day we were spoiled with just episode 1 of the community Q&A coming from Techland about many of the recurring questions people have regarding Dying Light 2. With over 9,000 questions submitted on their Discord, we've got answers to 8 of the more popular questions submitted. Yes, it isn't much, but everything is explained thoroughly without giving too much away, and this is only the beginning of what we could expect regarding the community's questions and answers. Unsurprisingly, we learned quite a bit more about the game world and the many features it brings to the franchise. Today's plan is to go through the first 4 questions one by one and give my opinions of what we may see while thinking of the possibilities we could come across on our own journey once the game is in our hands. The time codes are in the description, and let's get raw into it. Timon Smektala, the lead game designer at Techland, is the one answering our questions here today. They actually don't call it a Q&A this time around, but an AMA, for Ask Me Anything. The first question is about the size of the game's open world, which we've heard about a few times in the past already. The map is a simple combination of Old Town plus slums times 2 equals Dying Light 2's world, and to put it simply, it's more than 6 square kilometers. In comparison to other open world games, this may seem like the map is really small, but Timon brings up a good point about the verticality of the world. From what we've seen, there's a lot of variety when it comes to the buildings, so the fact that there's supposedly hundreds with a few accessible floors within each is wonderful to see, and I'm sure there are multiple skyscrapers and more than just a few accessible floors to explore. From the concept art, it's impossible to tell what concepts will make it into the final game, but surely each sector will have something different to make it stand out. Personally, I'm hoping we'll get a sewer tunnel system like in the first game, and even the implementation of a subway station, which could house the mightiest of infected, especially since it's nearly pitch black down there if the electricity is all shut down, or whatever's going on in the story, I don't know. I want some of these sections just to strictly be a straight-on horror game, overwhelmed by not just the amount of infected, but the speed of them. I want to be chased by a horde, okay? That shit gets my heart pumping, so imagine them trying to chase you down a subway track with no other way to keep moving but straight, with just you and your flashlight. I am pretty curious how many dark zones will be in the game though, but that's just an idea for one of them, which would be pretty cool. I personally hope to see the implementation of volatile nests often in the depths of the darkness as well. For all we know, there could be nests for more infected than just the volatiles at this point. It's hard to guess what could have changed over the course of the 15 years, but we'll eventually find out. From what we've seen in the last teaser trailer, the biggest surprise was easily the Tentacle Man. The second question is about the mutated zombie with the branches forming out of its back. Timon goes on to say that the volatiles are going to be even more frightening, which brings me to assume that they'll have some type of new features and attributes. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw more of the Be the Zombie Night Hunter features be implemented as just the norm when it comes to these heavily mutated volatiles. This new type of infected with the multiple branches is one of the many new types for us to come across. One of my favorite theories about this thing is that it's a spitter type of infected, and uses one of the Night Hunter's features being a yellow spit that attracts the other infected to your position. One thing about the new infected is that you can make him appear anywhere in your game. Whatever this can mean is there's a turning point during the game, like the opening of a new sector of the world that lets out this new creature, similar to how the Drowner appears once you turn on the water supply. Since they don't want to spoil too much, this is all we know of regarding its place in the world. From this though, we have confirmation of another drop of info coming from Techland about the new and old infected, and I assume the many mutations that have occurred. So as we know, the night the infected dominate and the day the survivors attempt to survive. This is reassured even more by Timon when asked for question 3 if there will be infected roaming the night, which he comes back saying it
touches on the most important rule of the world of Dying Light 2.
Being that the infected are inside during the day, but the nighttime becomes theirs to dominate. They always tend to hide within buildings to escape any sunshine or UV lights. From what we've seen, there are few infected roaming the streets during the day, but to your right there could be 15 to 20 of them hoarding in a small store. I assume for a small portion of the infected, the sunshine has no effect, or at least as much as some of the other forms of mutations. Another thing spoken of when answering the question, Timon says you can draw the infected from their hiding places, and one of the options we know to get their attention is the whistle. I'm sure there's many things like firecrackers you can throw as well to bring them to your position, but as of now we don't know too much about that yet. But if you happen to bring an infected into daylight, they'll be frightened and just run back into the darkness. One thing that will surely bring them to your position though is guns, if they happen to be in the game, which they aren't according to the 4th question in the AMA. Personally, this makes a lot of sense to me, as during those 15 years the world has gone to chaos and most of the materials needed to make professional firearms have become scarce. Of course, we'll have throwable ranged weapons and bows, along with something like the piped ranged weapon we see in the 2019 gameplay demo that gives people a knocking blow down to their feet. Another option though is to make a handcrafted shotgun of sorts, which can be used in your left hand as you dual wield with something else in your right hand, like a machete. Timon does say at first that the shotgun will be in your left hand, so I assume maybe there'll be attachments to upgrade it over time to probably upgrade its durability so it doesn't break as easily. And because the shotgun is handmade, it doesn't last long, which is cool in my eyes because it's one of those things you pull out during a boss battle or horde encounter to get a little bit of a greater advantage. Anyways, that's all for today, folks. The next video will be diving into the grappling hook, the choice impact, and all the cars that are going to be in the game, if there's going to be any. So we'll be sure to develop on that next time. But anyways, my name is Ty, and thank you for watching today's video. I plan to do more of these videos in the future as we get closer to Dying Light's release date, so if you want to, like the video, subscribe, dislike if you dislike it, and anyways, stop by next time.